It's gaming time indeed, Doctor. Alrighty. We are live with the half final. And it's Acid, Ted, Kyrill and leguit fighting for the 2 spots into the grand final. leguit off to a really good start, going very, very tight. Chased by Kyrill, while Acid has dropped slightly behind, but both Acid and Ted getting better first SDs, popping back into the picture. And overtaking both leguit and Kyrill. leguit off to the worst start by a long shot so far. And it's right now Ted and Kyrill fighting it out for first place. Ted with a slightly wider exit out of the hunter wall, but maintaining good speed. Going for the tight full SD line, while Kyrill is opting for the technically faster no slide into SD line, but you have to pull it off really well for it to be worth it. And right now it's looking like Ted can actually maintain an advantage over Kyrill. Let's see if Kyrill can catch back up in the end. He does have more speed, so it's going to be a very close one. Let's see. Ted with good air time, so he might just stay ahead. It's really close. No, it's Kyrill winning it by 3 thousandths of a second. Sniping the poor Ted and securing the first 10 points. That was a bang of a round to start with. Kyrill again off to a great start. We're missing Acid from the picture this time. It's gone a bit wide apparently. He's 0.1 behind. As Kyrill is looking to not take any prisoners here. Advancing his lead by a long shot, getting the best SD lines out of the 3 players we can currently see. And zooming into the distance. And leguit and Ted now require a major mistake by Kyrill to change the positioning. Acid has apparently overtaken Ted, who must have made a major mistake somewhere. He's still only slightly trailing Acid, but has less speed. Top 2 look set in stone. Let's see if Ted can catch back up, but it's not looking like it. He has to cancel his SD as well. It's not going to help his cause. And unless major mistakes happen, we're going to have Kyrill, leguit and Acid taking top 3. With Kyrill extending his lead and winning the first 2 rounds. Okay, no one going wide this time in the start. Is again Acid slightly trailing, but it's only very slightly. Actually opting to do the right in the other direction compared to the remaining 3 drivers. Will cost him a little bit of time. Where is he? Oh, he has lost a little bit too much out of the wall. Oh, that's an unfortunate turnover exit. I think he got a bump in the top of the turnover, pulling him to the side. That's very, very unfortunate. It's a very rare one to get. Meanwhile, we have Kyrill pulling into a significant lead again, chased by Ted and leguit, and it's looking like the round is already pretty much over unless we see huge mistakes, but none of the 3 players are looking to do those. They all seem to be aware of the situation and are opting to take reasonably safe lines and secure their current position. And yeah, leguit does opt for the extra SD, but at this point, okay. leguit finishing with a backflip. That was interesting. I've not seen that one before. Doesn't make a difference, but still, what the fuck? And yeah, it's Kyrill securing all 3 rounds so far, followed by Ted and leguit, who are quite close, and Acid, who is trailing them by 5 points. Acid is looking to be struggling a little bit with the start. He is in the back of the pack again. Also clips the wall ride. It's not going to help him a lot. He didn't lose too much, but it's still going to make a bit of a difference. And yeah, the remaining players are pulling away. And Kyrill seems to have found his footing in this match after, well, and I guess around slower than his standard in the first round. And is now just dominating. While Ted and leguit are fighting for the second place. But Acid has gotten a really good mid part and is now back in contestations. He does opt for an extra SD here. Let's see if that actually helps. He does get closer to both leguit and Ted, and both leguit and Ted had to cancel their SDs. So it will be Acid taking second place here. He's pulling away even further. Does take a lot of airtime, but it will not matter. And it's Kyrill winning yet another round ahead of Acid, leguit, and Ted. With Acid getting the better of the three brawling players. And yeah, so far it's looking like it's gonna be really difficult to contest Kyrill for the remaining players, but they're all in a close fight for that second spot. They get off to a really good start here, while Acid is again struggling a little bit. He does not bump the wall right this time, so he will be closer this time. Does go very wide, and Kyrill has actually not pulled into a ginormous lead just yet. He's still in first though. But leguit is keeping close. Ted has made a mistake, I think, and is out of this round. He has already DNF'd as far as I can tell. Acid going wider than leguit will build more speed and will overtake him. He also gets a good wall ride. And is even catching up to Kyrill a little bit. But it will likely not be enough to contest first place. There is Ted standing still. Hope he hasn't disconnected. And Acid does get closer and closer to Kyrill, but it will not be enough. And Kyrill is securing yet another round, being flawless in this match so far. And Acid's pulling into third place, overtaking Ted, who unfortunately will not be able to finish this round. Let's see. I hope he didn't disconnect. I hope he can play the next one. As we're moving on to ASM Fly. Which is probably the simplest of the three maps. And maybe it will allow everyone else to contest Kyrill a little bit more, because he has been very, very dominant in the first match. There was only one round, and that was the very first one that was reasonably close. Every other round, Kyrill could pretty much do what he pleased. My emote selection might not please your standard stocks. I haven't updated them in a very long time. People are not Adromax, not really at least, but Team Youth, or the community Youth, has decided to host a Trackmania 2 FullSpeed Cup once a year. And what you're witnessing right now is the second edition of that exact FullSpeed Cup. It's called the deadgamecup. And it's basically, well, taking Trackmania 2 FullSpeed back to life once a year. Which is quite cool. It's kind of nice to play the old game for a change. While I've been cool story bobbing, Kyrill has taken a very, very commanding lead and is not looking to let the others have a chance. Acid definitely won't have a chance with that line. And allows Ted to pass him into second place, and with that it will be Kyrill in first, Ted in second, and leguit and in third, unless there is major mistakes here, but there's no really a way to fuck up this finish. Okay, Toby, I'm very sorry about that misconception, but it has happened twice so far. This is the second edition. There is no exact timetable. It's like it's gonna happen whenever the organizers feel like it's gonna happen. Toby can probably tell you more about that because he is one of the organizers. And as we speak, we will not witness a Kyrill victory for the first time this match, as he has already DNF'd after a huge mistake at the start, and is currently Acid and Ted fighting it out for first place, and leguit trailing 0.2 behind, looking to pick up the pieces if mistakes are being made at the front. And Acid has indeed made a mistake. leguit is getting close, but it's not going to be enough. Ted will take first, and of Acid and leguit. And that will also mean Acid is gonna get closer to Ted and Leggett at least, but currently it's looking like Kyrill is still completely uncontested despite DNFing the last round. I think Acid's the only one that is actually not opting for the first SD. Because after the first transition you can do a small SD, cancel that SD and then no slide the rest of the turn. And Acid's actually not doing that and opting to no slide the entire turn instead. Which I guess is safer, but it's also a little bit slower. And as a result he finds himself in the last position right now. With Ted and Kyrill fighting it out for first. It's looking like Kyrill has a little bit more speed right now. Let's have a look. It's going to be really, really tight to the finish, but I think Kyrill has it covered and he will win the round by 100th of a second. That's a really good one. That's also really good times. And next round, everyone off to a good start. Acid is closer to the pack this time. And is actually contesting first place right now. Opts for a little bit earlier of a wall entry. That shouldn't make too much of a difference. Yep, still exactly the same speed. Ooh, that's a bit of an unfortunate bump. That's going to cost Acid a little bit of speed. As he went onto the ram there and does get punished for it. And Kyrill and Ted are pulling away yet again. And Kyrill does have the upper hand as it looks. Ooh, Ted actually had to cancel his SD. Let's see how much that cost him. Look, looks like not too much. He's still close enough. Kyrill does get a better exit SD. So he will pull away and take first place ahead of Ted, Leggett and Acid. And with that, Kyrill is only 2 rounds away from finalist mode, as we are gonna play to 100 points this time. Ted also not opting to the extra SD. But it looks like no one got it good enough for it to actually matter, as Ted is still up front. Ooh, still, as we speak, Ted makes a huge mistake and he's not up front anymore. Now we have Leggett and Kyrill fighting it out at the front, while Acid is just behind them. Does avoid the ram this time and is catching up to Leggett at least, while Kyrill is pulling away a little bit. Kyrill gets a really smooth wall there, avoids the additional airtime, unlike Acid and Leggett, and will pull away into the distance. Acid unfortunately clipping the edge of the quarter pipe a little bit, will allow Leggett to re-overtake him. And now it's looking like Kyrill, Leggett 1 and 2. And a Ted DNF. And Ted definitely has the best pace out of everyone that is not Kyrill, but he has already DNF'd twice, and that's kind of why it's still close. And we move on to the last map that is out of bounds by Firefox, and as mentioned previously, it's definitely the most difficult of the 3 maps, the most mistake prone. And, well, judging by the PB, it should be dominated by Kyrill and Ted, but Ted has been making a lot of mistakes. So let's see if Acid or Leggett can actually outpace him here. And there will be finalist mode sounds. Kyrill just chatting. Yeah, Firefox maps are definitely among the most difficult maps out there at Romax. They have really raised competitive FullSpeed to a new level of difficulty. Which can be a good and a bad thing, I suppose, but I mostly see it as a good thing. But we are live in the first round. It's Kyrill and Leggett in the top 2 spots. Kyrill getting a better exit there, will pull away. He does have a bit of a tight line here now, which is not too great, but he still gets the best exit out of the road loop and will secure first place with that unless he makes any major mistakes. Talking about major mistakes, it looks like Ted has made one and he's already DNF'd. That's not gonna help his fight for second place at all. And yeah, we indeed have a Kyrill leguit 1 and 2, and at least in the first round, Kyrill's prediction of leguit being fast here is coming true. That's really good times as well. For 1 and 0.28 is a very respectable rounds time. Laugh. Next round, Acid off to the worst start again. He's generally struggling with the starts a lot, it seems like. On all 3 maps, he has been off to the worst starts, at average at least. And all 3 remaining players are in a very tight fight for the top spots. It's Kyrill with the best lineup for the road loop. I think here Ted actually had to cancel his steer bit, so he will drop some speed. And leguit also had to drop some speed. Oh, that is Kyrill going a bit too tight in the tube, dropping out, leaving the first place to Ted, who really needs this first place after DNFing last round, so he will be very grateful. Also really reasonable rounds time with a 0.32. But Kyrill is finalist already, he can take his sweet time. Ted can be finalist in 5 rounds at best, so yeah, and Kyrill is indeed taking his sweet time, crashing out again, leaving another 10-pointer up for grabs. And right now it's looking like Ted and leguit will fight it out for that 10-pointer, but Acid is still in the race as well. And I'm still amazed by Ted's line here. It's so weird, but it somehow works, so at least it's not slower. Oh, that is definitely slower though. Ted going too close to the edge of the quarter pipe, clipping it, and leaving the 10-pointer on the table for Acid and leguit. And so far it's looking like leguit has the best shot at it, as Acid has had to cancel his steal, lost a lot of speed, and leguit needs to make major mistakes now for Acid to be able to contest. And yeah, leguit is not doing Acid the favor and takes the 10 points. And with that is back in second place. Kyrill not clipping at the start this time round. Instead it's Ted who's not off to the best start, but he comes back into the picture right away with a great first ST. And he's right back at it. This is a really close one so far. Kyrill getting the best line there, pulling away a little bit, chased by Acid, who also pulls away from leguit and Ted, who had the worst lines. Ted has to overslide here a little bit, so he will likely lose further speed to Kyrill, not to Acid, because Acid just had a really awkward line, and might be caught by Ted now. Yeah, he will definitely be caught by Ted now. Or maybe not. Oh, it's gonna be really close. Acid will actually stay ahead with a great end. And Kyrill pops in a 0.01 to finish it off. But yeah, that was indeed a strong round overall. Ted also clocking in third with a 0.24. And Acid getting second with a 0.21. They would have won him pretty much every other round. I mean, except the 2 ones Kyrill won. But. And now we have Ted, leguit and Acid, who are all still within reach of that second place. Remember, finalist mode will be reached at 100 points, so leguit still needs 3 more rounds at least, and Ted also 3 more rounds. Actually 4 more rounds, and Acid is still 5 more rounds away. Ted is currently in first, and even though he overslid this a lot, I don't think anyone's gonna catch him, because both leguit and Acid have made prior mistakes. And yeah, it's Ted taking that sweet first place and an important 10 points, catching back up to leguit. It's now only 2 points away, and they're both 3 rounds away from finalist. That is very much true, Toby. At least at mathing while casting. My brain is just not capable of doing 2 things at once. And we're hopping back onto TMO competition for the final few rounds. But depending on how long the boys take to close it out, we might even see Fly again. And I think Ted was strongest out of these 3 on this map the first time round it was played. But he also had 2 DNFs. So we'll see how this turns out. But to be fair, that's kind of what it's been like on all the maps. Ted technically had the best pace out of those 3. On almost all the maps, maybe except Out of Bounds. But he has been crashing. Let's see. Acid off to a better start this time, not as far behind as we used to see him on this map, but still trailing the leading 2 by a little bit, getting the worst wall exit here. But he's still very, very close. Has to overslide a little bit here, but somehow still gets a better tube and is right back in the fight and right back out the fight with that line again, because he's gonna have to hella overslide the wall. As we have seemingly lost Ted, who I have lost all the buttons for, which is great. Ted's still in contention, obviously, but it's really, really close between leguit and acid right now. Ted has between. It's just really close one. I'm so confused right now, and it looks like Ted will take this one ahead of acid and leguit. That was a bang of a round. I hate it when the camera just remains in cam 3 for some reason. That is completely catching me off guard every time. And I'm just like, what's happening? How can I fix this? And then by the time I notice, something has happened that I missed. We have acid off to not the greatest start here, but he has decent speed still. Gonna go really, really wide. All 3 players still similar speed. leguit currently with a slight advantage, but Ted has gotten the better part here and is now taking the lead. He is still opting for the full drift line, and with that acid will have a lot more exit speed, or at least a little more, but acid does get the worst wall rides, so it's still Ted in first, chased by both acid and leguit. Ted did have to split his SD, so he dropped a little bit of speed and will now be, well, maybe passed by leguit. It's going to be really, really close. Let's see. Ted remains in first by a hundredth of a second. And that's another banger round. leguit must have had a bit of an awkward turnover part there, because he lost a lot of speed. Acid is again trailing the pack. He really, really seems to be struggling with the start. It's not doing him any favors. Meanwhile, Ted has pulled off into a bit of a commanding, but Ted does get a bit of an awkward tube exit. He goes down really, really early. Though it does not seem to matter, as leguit has also made a bit of a mistake, and acid is simply too far behind. If acid pulls this line off here perfectly, maybe he can catch back up, but I think it's too much distance to cross. Ted is just too far ahead here. And yeah, Ted has got it covered. Can't fool us this time. Goes really close to the wall. Holy moly. Acid still getting more speed than Ted. Acid seems to have something special figured out in this part. Just gaining on everyone every single round. But not able to catch up. Either way, it's Ted taking first place and moving to finalist mode. While leguit is still 2 rounds away. So we got 2 free attempts for Ted. And his best shot is probably this round straight away, because he has been looking strong on this map. Let's see if he can close it out. So far so good. Ted off to the best start. Acid, as per usual, struggling a little bit, but he has maintained good speed. Though he's already at over 0.1 of a disadvantage here. See next checkpoint. Yeah, but it's definitely more than 0.1. Ted is just pulling away. Also getting a great line into the wall, so Ted needs to make major mistakes here. Otherwise there is no shot either leguit or Acid can catch back up. And yeah, Ted is not looking to do them any favors. He does not opt for the zigzag SD, so losing out on potential speed, but he has enough of a lead to make it anyways. Yeah. Leguit catching back up a little bit, but it will not be enough. And it's Ted advancing into the grand final. GG's. Oh shit. GG's. Sorry about that.